Good evening. I see the time is 5:30. I'd like to call the meeting to order. We do have a quorum. Each of you have had the opportunity to receive the minutes from the March 11, 2025 meeting. May I ask for a motion to accept the minutes as they were submitted, please?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Also, you guys had an opportunity to receive the claims. Superintendent at this
Good
time.
evening, everyone.
Good evening.
As you're aware, Saturday, March 15th, in the early morning, our water system experienced low pressure. The on-call phone started receiving calls at around 12:30 to 12:40 a.m. in the morning. Andy Hall, the Director of Operations, was notified by 12:45 of the situation. We called in 13 employees to start looking for the water main break. We had no idea where it was at. Nobody had called in to report it. During the hours, not too many people were out. Within an hour, we had located the water main break at the 59th Street Water Treatment Plant. It was inside the fenced-in area, directly in front of the plant. It's a 16-inch water main that broke. Within an hour, we contained the break by valving off the system, kept positive pressure on the main the whole time. And then after that, after we had that isolated and throttled down and contained with positive pressure, we had to call in locates, which took a little bit because at that time, one of the employees told me while we were there that we were under a tornado warning, and then we had severe thunderstorms that night. Lightning was in the area. So once the locates had arrived, we still had to wait a little while for the lightning to subside. Once we had that isolated, that allowed our other two water treatment plants to get pressure back in the system, get everything back up to pressure. I will note that the water towers still had approximately 80 feet of water in them, so we never drained the towers completely before we had it isolated. As a precaution, the Director of Administration contacted IDEM, and as a precaution, we had to issue the water boil advisory as a precautionary measure, as an extra step of safety for our citizens. We were able to begin the excavation at approximately 5:45 a.m. on Saturday morning. We continued working on the water main break until had it repaired by 2 a.m. on Sunday morning. We had it completely repaired, backfilled within 3 feet of finished grade, and had the water treatment plant back in service, and everything was operating normally. We did send samples to a third-party laboratory. The tests take 24 hours to run. We had to do this on Monday morning because over the weekend the lab's not open. So first thing Monday morning, we took the samples, delivered them by 11 a.m., and then Tuesday, the 18th, we were able to lift the water advisory and return back to normal operations. I'd like to take a moment to thank all the employees that worked on that repair. It was a difficult one. I stayed there with them. They did a great job. They all responded quickly, acted professionally, did everything they needed to do. It went as smooth as it could go in that situation. I'd also like to thank the business office staff for the calls they had to field while they continued to do their normal day-to-day activities. If you have any questions, more specific questions you'd like answered, I'd entertain those.
Madam Chair. So what broke exactly? Was it a straight pipe, a joint?
16-inch PVC, and it was the way when we uncovered it, it had a longitudinal split at the bell. It ran along the main. We ended up having to replace approximately 14.5 feet of that water main.
Any idea what caused it? Was it part of the new construction?
No, this was an existing pipe that didn't have anything to do with the new construction on the other side. It was existing. It's about 20 years old. It could have been overbilled when it was installed. It could have been a defective pipe and it finally let go. There was no apparent, obvious reason for the break, but nonetheless, we had the break.
Well, thank you guys for getting on that and getting it taken care of so quickly.
Yeah, I have a question. We appreciate the information that came out.
when they announced that it was gonna be a, you know, a
Boil the
warning to basically, look out and make sure you're boiling the water. But I don't think the same type of information went when it was lifted. I got a lot of calls and people were asking, you know, hey, there was something that came across the news that said, hey, water in Lawrence could possibly be contaminated, but then I didn't hear a lot about.
It was sent out through the news outlets. It went to social media and.
I know it did, but it just seems like some people were asking the question.
Oh,
why
okay,
was it missed? So
okay.
I just want to make you aware of that.
Okay.
Any other comments or thoughts, recommendations?
Well, thank you, Paul, and convey our thanks to all the folks that worked on that.
Will do. Thank you. And
So-
we do have two, oh, I'm sorry. Go
That's
ahead.
okay. So my recommendation is that the board be advised prior to the general public, because I received a fair amount of calls as well. And I was just kind of on my feet figuring it out. And so I think if that's possible, that we need to know in advance of the public, so we'll know what we're talking about.
Your number, I think, is the only number I have, so we need to, if you're wanting a phone call.
Okay.
I mean, emails, I can do those because I have your email
Text.
addresses.
I don't really have a big preference, but even if you contact me, then I'll contact
Okay.
the bigger board,
Okay.
the entire board.
And I apologize, there was
That's okay.
a lot of moving parts at
Yeah.
the time, so trying to get it controlled and
Yeah.
pressure back in the system was the top priority.
I am sure it was.
I'm sorry.
No worries. That's why we work as a team to get all that figured out. And I know that you're working on a mass communication plan.
Yes.
So if there's anything that we can offer and support, if you guys are aware of any systems that work well, please send it forward so he can examine that.
Not to say we're not gonna do that, but
Mm-hmm.
just as everybody's aware, per IDEM guidelines, we did follow what was recommended,
Mm-hmm.
except for one of the alternate notification methods is to go door to door to notify people.
Mm-hmm.
With this being citywide, that would have not been a
Practical.
practical situation for us.
Okay.
Thanks
Anything
again.
else?
No, thanks again.
Thank you.
We do have 2 account adjustments on the agenda tonight, and we do recommend approval of those as well.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you. There's no unfinished business. There's no new business. Account adjustments. May I have a motion to approve sanitary sewer adjustment at 4744 Charney Park for $545.52 due to a service line leak? Is there a motion?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. May I have a motion of sanitary sewer adjustment at 7919 Kersey Drive for $367.32 due to a spigot leak? Is there a motion?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Remonstration of ratepayer dispute regarding disconnect? None. Citizens' comments? None. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, see you later.